Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How have you been over this little hiatus we've had since our last episode that we recorded?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain about anything in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I've been filling my time with a gentleman named Jack Ryan, and it was a pleasurable experience, and that made me happy.
Yeah, that whole sentence sounded extremely dirty, but I don't think you intended it that way, but...
Anyways.
Well, I may have slightly misspoke. We have actually convened quite recently to record a bonus episode where we talked about Predator and the Alien vs. Predator franchises, and did want to make mention that that episode is now up on Patreon. It's been up on Patreon for a little while now, so hopefully our supporters have had a chance to listen to it. And if you're not a supporter on Patreon, all you need to do is head to watchreviewrepeat.com, click the premium tab, and become a patron. And basically, you'll get access to bonus episodes like that, early access to all of our regular episodes, and it's only $2 a month. So I think you should do it. And Andrew probably feels the same way. I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but
yeah, do it, man.
Okay, all right, good.
Those bonus
good.
episodes are a lot of fun. They're on the nose. They're on the they're. Here's our topic. We dive right in, and usually they're a little bit more fast and loose than these episodes.
Yeah, so. Definitely a little less structured, and that it kind of lends a different atmosphere to it. And I think it's one that's fun to record and hopefully fun to listen to as well. So we do have an important announcement to make at the end of this episode, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We won't try to keep you for too long. Today we tried to keep things pretty simple with the news, and I think we'll have some good things to say about Jack Ryan, but I don't anticipate it eating up too much of our time. But every time I say that, I feel like we somehow still run past my expectations. So don't hold us to that. But Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Amazon. We're talking about it this week. Do you have a fun fact prepared? Maybe
I do have
maybe
a fun
relevant
fact
to it?
prepared. Yeah.
All right. Spill the beans, my friend.
We all know John Krasinski.
If it's simpler, Jim from The Office will suffice.
Jim from The Office, yes. Jim has quite the career going, or he's got quite the year going for him this year.
Indeed.
And Jack Ryan, the character he portrays in Jack Ryan, he's not the only person to don this character. Alec Baldwin has been Jack Ryan. Harrison Ford has been Jack Ryan. Ben Affleck has been Jack Ryan. And most recently, Chris Pine has been Jack Ryan. And yeah, so that's my fun fact. There's a lot. Jack Ryan has seen some shit, and there's I think the first three movies were kind of like a series, and then I think whenever Ben Affleck was in The Sum of All Fears and the Chris Pine one, which is Shadow Recruit, I think those two kind of deviated and did their own thing, I think. But that Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, and Clear and Present Danger, I think all of those were framed within the same. The Jack Ryan was the same Jack Ryan, I think.
Yeah, I think you are correct in that. You should also silence your phone as a side note. But,
oh shit! Yeah, look at there. I'm getting some activities.
Yeah, I actually just bought the 5-pack of Blu-ray. I felt a little inspired. I think it was like $18 at Best Buy, and has all of the previous Jack Ryan films. So I actually saw The Hunt for Red October maybe a few months ago, which is an amazing film as a side note. But I really have I definitely haven't seen Shadow Recruit, and I don't think I've seen the other three in
God, I haven't seen.
It's been a long enough time that I don't really remember them if I have seen them. So
yeah,
I effectively
no idea.
haven't seen them. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch any of them, like I said, aside from Hunt for Red October, which I just seen recently before, obviously the show came out. But yeah, I think all of them. Well, not all of them. I think the early ones are pretty well regarded. I think the Harrison Ford ones and the Alec Baldwin one are pretty well regarded, and then maybe a little bit diminishing returns the more you get forward. But anyway, appreciate your fun fact. You want to talk some news this week?
Let's do it, man. What type of news do we have?
All right, so we've got some good stuff, and I think it's probably been at least a month or so since we recorded. So if we actually tried to cover all of the news in its entirety, we would definitely be here for the entire night. So in the interest of not doing that, I tried to curate these as much as possible to just some big splashy pieces of news that I think will be relevant to our interests, hopefully. So we'll have a little bit more to say than our usual. We'll see what happens, shtick. So we will see what happens as far as whether that plan actually succeeds. But we can start with some Trouble in Paradise over at MGM, where James Bond 25 has had some issues in the form of losing its director. Danny Boyle no longer involved in the project. It was announced on Twitter August 21st. Like I said, it's been so this was a few weeks ago that this news came out that Boyle is gone, which I agree. Yeah, definitely a shame because Danny Boyle is a super talented director and it sounded like an awesome pairing. But clearly whatever it was did not work. I mean, for them basically to cut him loose prior to this movie getting underway. Sucks. I was really looking forward to seeing what he was going to do with the character. Daniel Craig coming back for what will presumably be his last entry as Bond. I mean, it just seems like this was something special that could have happened, especially after kind of, Spectre, I think, was definitely disappointing. I don't think it's a bad film, but I think it was disappointing. It feels like they have yet to really recapture that Casino Royale magic, and I think that, you bring Danny Boyle in, I'm like, okay, that's something.
That could have been special, yeah.
So
maybe Bond 26, man. Who knows?
Maybe. So I do have some things to note about Boyle's departure. So these are all rumor, take them with a grain of salt, et cetera, et cetera. But first rumor I think we got pretty much right after he was gone from the project was that he and Craig had a disagreement on the casting for the villain that ultimately led to his departure, which seems kind of like I guess obviously, you want to cast your guy, and apparently Daniel Craig has a lot of creative responsibilities, or at least power over the situation. Huh. I mean, he was actually literally included in the little blurb they had on the Twitter that, today we announced that due to creative differences, Danny Boyle has decided to no longer direct Bond 25. The way that's worded doesn't sound like creative differences. That's the off-sided bullshit excuse for things not working out. I think there's probably more to it than that. The other rumor that came up maybe a week or so ago was that apparently the producers, including Craig, wanted Bond to die by the end of the film. And Boyle was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. And that was what caused the dispute. If that has any sort of merit to it, I would say that Danny Boyle was 100% in the right, because that sounds fucking stupid. It sounds incredibly dumb, but I don't know. It's a rumor, so
it wouldn't surprise me if Craig wanted to kill Bond. Doesn't he hate playing Bond?
It's not even that. It's just kind of like, Bond has always been a passing of the torch type things with actor. It's not like Pierce Brosnan died at the end of his series. It's not like Roger Moore died at the end of his series.
No,
it's
they've
not like
got
Sean Connery died. Like, it's just
man.
like they just just move on. Just recast and just pull it in a different direction.
Another adventure,
it's fine. Like, that's kind of how the franchise has operated for 24 movies. Like, come on. So that's that. There's a short list for potential replacements. I think the top of the list is a man by the name of Jan de Mange, who's working on, he has directed, it's going to be coming out soon, White Boy Rick with Matthew McConaughey, if you've seen the trailer
that one
for
looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I think early reviews are okay for it, so we'll see what happens with that. I think the other two names thrown around are Bart Layton, who did American Animals recently, and S.J. Clarkson, she was a director on Jessica Jones, and she's actually supposed to do the upcoming Star Trek 4, the non-Tarantino Star Trek. So we'll see what happens with James Bond. I'm hoping that the project still turns out all right, but pretty disappointing to hear about Boyle departing.
James Bond. It's a pretty. Don't get me wrong, there's bad Bond movies, but it'll be a Bond movie, I guess. I'm not really worried about it. Although Danny Boyle would have been a ridiculously awesome creative force behind a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
So
I think that's kind of where I stood with it. But yeah, we'll definitely, if there's a splashy hire, to be made still, then maybe they can steer it in the right direction. I think they did delay production as a side note, so maybe it doesn't sound like they're trying to rush things. Maybe that's a positive takeaway. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Moving on. Star Wars Episode 9 got some more casting news for it. 2 new actors joining the franchise for the first time. First of which is Dominic Monaghan, who is a collaborator with J.J. Abrams, who's on Lost, and he was also Merry in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You might recognize him as that. So good pick. No details, I don't think, on who he's going to be playing.
He's the one that uncovered the ball that Sauron could see out of, isn't it? Or am I like getting off in the weeds? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen the trilogy and
Don't touch the stone, and he touches it or whatever, and then Sauron can see exactly where they're at.
Maybe, yeah. It's yeah. There's Merry and Pippin. I don't know what. I don't know if it was. It's probably one of those
that go and find the trees. Fucking Lord of the Rings. I need to watch that shit.
But what about Second Breakfast? I don't think he knows about Second Breakfast.
So good.
Yeah, so he's joining it, and Matt Smith,
Doctor Who,
the Doctor. Don't call him Doctor Who. They're not supposed to be called Doctor Who. Fan people get upset about that sort of thing, but he's joining.
Oh God,
he's very well. I don't know how many Whovians we have that actually are passionate enough to be that upset when listening to our episode. So I think you can get away with it. He's, again, another role that we don't know what it's going to be. Typical Lucasfilm, Star Wars type secrecy surrounding the roles. Just when they announced this casting, everyone's like, that dude looks straight up like he belongs in the Empire, which, the Empire would be the First Order now. But I can definitely see that. But then again, I feel like
things have happened.
When they cast Doomhall back in the day, I would have sworn that he was going to play Luke's son, and that obviously did not happen. So, don't judge a book by its cover. Perhaps
that's it, man. You never know.
I think we can say we're looking forward to Star Wars 9. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Oh, I got to put it in the catching up section. I got some ridiculous Star Wars shit.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get there in a good little while. Entertainment Weekly has lended us our first look at Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
Ooh.
So we got some details on the movie itself, along with a nice splashy EW cover that it is fortunately not as horrible as their covers typically are. It's not great, but they did give us 10 exclusive images, and which I think are a much better depiction of the movie itself, and looks great, I would say.
It looks fucking cool, man.
We got to look at Brie Larson and the full Captain Marvel getup, which I think maybe we talked about when the set pics came out, and she was wearing like the green version of it, and we're like, well, what's going on here? I think we speculated that she was wearing some sort of Kree military outfit, and these images prove that is exactly the case, because we have images of her in that same green outfit where she's working alongside some Kree enforcers as a group called Star Force. We also see
Star Force,
Jaimin Hansu's Korath, who we saw in Guardians, in here. We also see Ronan the Accuser, pre-terrorist Ronan the Accuser in here. Star Force is pretty cool, right?
It's pretty cool. Sounds like sounds a lot like Space Force. I think that's what made me giggle.
The Star Force does originate from the comics, so there is that.
No, that's cool. No, it is cool.
Jude Law, we see a little Jude Law. He's the one leading that Star Force, not the Space Force. And what else do we have here? We've got Ben Mendelsohn playing a Skrull named Talos. We see kind of him in makeup, which is pretty awesome. First MCU appearance of the Skrulls, shape-shifting aliens. It played a huge part in the Marvel comics. So that'll be very interesting to see how they can use that shape-shifting ability, I think, within the universe. Almost certainly one of the Avengers will eventually turn out to be a Skrull. I'm willing to bet money on it. I'm not willing to bet money on any specific character just yet, but it's totally going to happen.
That you think hold on a second. That you think one of the Avengers is a Skrull?
Well, you got to bear in mind. So this movie takes place in the 1990s. So the Skrull invasion that we will probably see happen in this, we know that the Skrulls are on Earth at some point during this movie. Stands to reason that they'll they'll have some shenanigans popping off in the background that will maybe be picked up in a future movie. I don't think Avengers 4 is going to deal with the Skrull invasion, but I think maybe if you look at a Phase 4 type
situation,
where do you take the storyline? Well, maybe you do like a secret invasion where there's a bunch of Skrulls that have been secretly and taking the place of other people. Yeah. Even if it's not an Avengers, I think like Thunderbolt Ross has been someone. A lot of people have pointed him out as like a candidate for like, oh yeah, he's totally a Skrull.
I gotcha. Okay.
So I could see it. And he's been kind of manipulating things with the Accords and the fallout that we saw in Civil War and beyond. So I could definitely kind of see that.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So anyway.
Brie Larson also likes Nine Inch Nails, which is pretty
she likes
dope.
9 Inch Nails. Sam Jackson looks very youthful, very impressive de-aging technology on display, which, now, to be fair,
isn't it?
It is ridiculous. To be fair, Samuel L. Jackson looks pretty good anyway, but he does not look that good, shall we say. And then, of course, we got, the actual proper look at Carol in costume, the full-on red, yellow, and blue costume, which I think looks great, so...
Yeah, totally, dude.
Very excited for Captain Marvel. First solo female-led movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's taken a while.
Only took 20 movies to get there, but they got there. To be fair, and Kevin Feige has said as much, there were some shenanigans behind the scenes that prevented them from really being able to do it sooner. Mostly in the form of some shitty leadership. So that's that. Any other thoughts on Captain Marvel?
I am excited.
Me too. March 2019 is coming out, so
it's not that far away.
It's not. That's the nice thing with these Marvel movies is they pump these bad boys out on a pretty regular basis,
and they're also good, right?
Yeah, and they're good. Yeah, they do it with quality as well, which is a rarity. For the quantity that they put them out. So yeah, that's a good point. We got the final trailer for The Predator, a movie that's coming out very soon that we'll be certain to talk about.
Let's talk about
some more extensive detail. But the trailer. You got some things to say?
This is hot off the heels off of our extensive deep dive bonus episode that you should totally subscribe to us on Patreon and download and hear. But I'm really excited for Predator.
Okay, yeah. This trailer seemed polarizing.
It does not, to be clear, it does not look like... It doesn't look like a suspenseful horror movie. It looks like a Shane...
No.
It looks campy. And it looks like ridiculously gory. And... but I think the characters are definitely going to be there's going to be more substance with the characters, I think, than there were in the Predators.
Look, man, you can't just fucking naysay Topher Grace like that, dude.
No, not Topher Grace. I'm not talking about that one. It was the AVP, I think.
Oh, AVPR. Yeah, Requiem. Yeah, that was offensively bad in terms of its characterization. Predators was solid for most. So
yeah, it was okay.
But yeah, this looks. Well, again, I understand the polarizing reactions because it's 100% not trying to do what either Predator or Predators did. I think I might have said as much on our bonus episode. For those of you who have listened, I apologize for probably saying similar things over and over again. But this definitely is just going in a different direction, and I think that's a smart way to handle it. Again, not saying that it's going to be good as a result. But fun. I think that, it looks fun. This trailer is definitely the most Shane Black of the trailers that we've ever received.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And I would say that every subsequent trailer we've gotten has made me less and less apprehensive about the movie. It started, I'm like, oh. And then it was like, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, well, okay. So again, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I think the early buzz on it is kind of mixed. But yeah, it looks like a Shane Black movie with fucking predators and super gory. Like, yeah, it looks like a fun ride. I'm not expecting anything amazing. I think that I know Shane Black is capable of amazing. So I guess don't misunderstand that statement.
I can't say that either. I was going to say the IP doesn't lend itself to amazing, but the first Predator was pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's not trying to make the first movie again, and I
No.
respect that, you know. So I'm curious to see how it turns out. So I guess we could probably leave it at that because it's coming out in like a week. So I think we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more extensively for some reason. I don't know. Can't imagine why. Last bit of movie news for the week is another trailer, a new trailer for Halloween, the sequel to Halloween. Again, these fucking titles are so stupid. Oh, okay, let me specify. It's not the Rob Zombie Halloween. It's the original John Carpenter Halloween. So it's a direct sequel to the first Halloween. Ignores all of the sequels that took place after that. So 40 years later, Laurie Strode, she's like, I'm gonna kill fucking Michael Myers.
Yeah,
whenever he breaks out,
very traumatized.
She's gone full Sarah Connor, and that's pretty cool. What'd you think about this trailer?
No, I'm super stoked. I think it looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was that tracking shot of Michael Myers there at the very beginning where the kids bump into him. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. I'm pretty stoked about that. Who's directing it?
This is David Gordon Green who's directing it. I think when we talked about it, it was kind of like a really weird combination of like David Gordon Green, who's mostly a comedic director, and I think Danny McBride wrote or co-wrote it.
Yeah,
obviously
that's right. Okay.
He's got a very comedic influence. Obviously not the direction they're going with this movie. This is obviously just a straight horror film that they just had an attachment to the source material and had a vision that they were allowed to execute. So, it's very eclectic choices for the creatives behind it, as we've talked about, but it seems like they're knocking it out of the park so far. I mean, especially when that fucking iconic Halloween theme comes in throughout the trailer, and I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, how are you not in?
I'm feeling this. Yeah. So I think it looks good. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
These kind of movies very often,
certainly not good ones anyway.
No, not good ones. But I don't know. I like the genre.
Mm-hmm.
An old school slasher flick. They're cool. Anyways, moving forward to some television news. I think mostly trailers here. Not all trailers, but mostly. First one's for something called The Romanoffs, coming to Amazon. So I put it on the list because it's going to be... This show is created by Matt Weiner, who created Mad Men, which is still my favorite television show. I did not love this trailer. How did you feel about it? I saw that subtitle in there, creator of Mad Men. I was like, that's why I'm watching this shit. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I think the only other, we're gonna get into it, but the only Amazon thing that I've watched has been the show that we're covering today. And I think the only other one that I'm really, really interested in is that remake of whatever it was. I can't even remember the name of it now. They did a remake of a movie or something, and I thought that looked super cool. But this one did not look super cool. I'm not, I don't know. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, I don't really get it.
I'm Romanoff. You're Romanoff. I'm a Romanoff.
Like, I guess, like, that seems to be the hook, but it's kind of not... I don't really know who that's hooking, I guess.
Right? I don't fucking get it.
Like, I don't know. Like, I was just like, this just seems like a spectacular waste of an amazing cast. But I guess maybe in Matt Weiner I trust? I don't know. Like, maybe I'll wait for reviews on this one, and if it's like getting like arousing reviews, then maybe I'll kind of look at it. But I don't know. I thought this one definitely had potential based on the strength of everyone involved, but
what was the name of that remake
I'm not saying it.
Talking about?
Is it a TV show or a movie remake?
I think it was a movie. They remade a movie. Amazon Studios remade a movie, and it was super weird. Like in the font trailer, the font in the trailer was really cool.
Suspiria?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Suspiria. Yeah. Is that out yet?
I think it's out pretty soon.
All right. I digress.
Yeah. Next trailer that we have on tap is for something that I enjoyed far more. American Vandal Season 2.
Yeah.
So I was laughing pretty much this entire trailer. I thought it was pretty funny. It's tough because I'm like, American Vandal, it's like, how do you outdo yourself? Like season 1 was just kind of came out of nowhere and really was just fucking amazing. And it's just it's tough, Do you double down on, who drew the dicks, or do you just kind of say, all right, let's pull it into a different direction? Obviously they kind of did it while still maintaining some of the cast from the first season. And we're gonna have to find out who the turd burglar is.
Yeah, no, it looks fucking awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. And as a side note, which I guess maybe this is probably more than a side note, this is coming out in less than a week.
Is it really?
Yeah, September 14th.
Netflix, man.
Yeah, we just got our boy Danny Rand, who just dropped, and we haven't had a chance to get there yet. But man, they're dumping this. I think Maniac is in 2 weeks too. That's the Cary Fukunaga one. So.
Oh yeah.
I think Netflix is crushing it in September. It's not good because I don't have time to watch all this shit. But
Netflix perpetually crushes it, man. They have their shit figured out. They really do. Just as far as sneaking things out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seems like every time you turn around, something else is popping up from Netflix. And there's no real big. Maybe it's because we don't follow them as tightly as we should, but like Danny Rand snuck up right up on us.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have something else to talk about that Netflix might be sneaking up on us, and a couple bits of news, just a little tease for what's to come. But first, let's talk about the True Detective Season 3 teaser trailer that HBO debuted during the series finale, potentially, of Sharp Objects. Got look at Mahershala Ali, who appears to be kind of the only detective here. And I will say that stylistically, cinematography looks great. Mm-hmm. I remember being excited by the season 2 trailer as well. So I'm not going to say that I think this is going to be good, but it definitely, I did actually out of curiosity go back and watch the season 2 trailer. I'm like, having watched that season unfold, can I go back and watch the trailer and kind of see the cracks? And I think you can. So it's hard to say because obviously we haven't seen the full content here, but they took some time off after season 2. I think they gave Pizza Man a little bit more time to figure his shit out and to not write something that's not dog shit. So I'm hopeful that this will be good. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it looks right. It looks good. Definitely looks like True Detective, which is inspiring. So we'll just have to see what happens. I think. Oh, say his name for me.
Mahershala Ali.
Yes, I think he looks fantastic. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's an awesome actor. So
yeah, I agree. And season 2 had a good cast too. But
yeah,
I think that his involvement definitely gets me excited. So and the lack of everything that seemed to be present in season 2 is also a good sign. So yeah, January 2019. So it's only a few months away, and I think I'll probably subscribe to HBO around that time and tune in. So I'm hoping that it's going to be good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Something else I'm hopeful will be good is over at Netflix. That is the series adaptation of the Witcher fantasy series. And we've learned that Mr. Henry Cavill will be playing Geralt of Rivia, who is the Witcher that the book series revolves around. And you had sent me a text about this, I think, kind of when the news dropped, so I would say you're pretty excited. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and my experience with The Witcher is limited, but I think it's a really, really awesome IP from what little bit I've dived into it. And I think seeing Henry Cavill kick ass in Mission Impossible has got me quite pumped for this. Pretty excited to see how this goes. So I think it's a pretty exciting bit of news.
I agree. I think he'd been kind of pushing for this role. I think he's a fan of the game series, and so it's always kind of nice to see people that are passionate about projects get involved with those projects.
It's originally a book as well, right?
It's a book series, yeah. So it's a Polish book series. the author's name, it's Polish, and I will try my hand at it. Andrzej Sepkowski. I almost certainly got that wrong, but it's a series of short stories. And originally, I think there's 2 collections of short stories, and then I think there's been possibly 7 novels since then. I think the last one was published in 2013. So it started in the 80s, and it's been going for a long time now. And then the games, CD Projekt, as a Polish developer, they made The Witcher 1, I guess probably close to a decade ago, maybe longer than that.
It's been a while.
For PC, and, it was a little rough around the edges, but the whole series is actually a sequel to the events of the novel, basically.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
I don't, there's questions of, or are the games considered canon, blah, 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 blah. So whether or not this series is more just an adaptation of kind of like the events of the book, or if it does its own thing, well, I don't know exactly what this is planning on doing.
Doesn't matter. It's a badass universe.
No, yeah, and I think as long as they respect kind of the lore, then I think that, I think we're in good hands with this one. I think it's going to be 8 episodes.
For those that don't know, I think it's fair to kind of talk about it. The Witcher, and you know more about this than I do, but The Witcher, he's essentially a monster hunter. He's a part of a group of people that hunt monsters, and they have he's ingested mutagens and everything else that's permanently changed his physical attributes in order to hunt monsters. And there's other digestible things that he can make and stuff that can, like, for example, if he needs to see at night, he can make a potion that'll let him. That's what it did permanently. He went through a what is it? What am I trying to say? The Witchers go through a process to let them digest these mutagens that'll let them alter their physicalities, or their physical self, to hunt monsters. It's fucking cool. And he has 2 swords and 1 silver to hunt werewolves, I think.
Yeah, that's about right. As far as my experience, I read the first collection of short stories a while back, like probably 4 or 5 years back. And I've beaten the first game. I unfortunately have not beaten either the second or third game. I think the third game won like 1 million Game of the Year awards. I will get around to playing them at some point. Whether or not I beat something like Witcher 3, which I think would probably take hours, hundreds of hours probably to really properly finish, that's a tall task when I'm trying to balance other responsibilities. But yeah, it's a really cool series. It's a really cool world, really cool characters. Like Geralt of Rivia himself is he's a cool character. He's a fucking cool dude. He's a cool looking character too. And I think Henry Cavill's, I think he's a good pick for it. Yeah, especially coming off the Mission Impossible Fallout hype of dude crushing that role. I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table here.
For sure.
Right. I think this is our last bit of television news. We got a brief 30-second teaser of Daredevil Season 3, which tells us a little bit about the show. It tells us that, I guess Defenders established that Matt Murdock did survive the collapse of the Midland Circle building somehow. We still don't know exactly how he survived. But we see him, interestingly enough, in the black suit, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen suit, instead of his, red attire that he's been sporting for the past, season and a half or whatever. It's 2 seasons, or if you include Defenders. So, yeah, looks like it's going pretty dark. I would say. Was he saying I'd rather live as the devil than as Matt Murdock or something like that? Or I'd rather die as the devil, right, than live as Matt Murdock. Yeah, it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, no, but I think Daredevil's always been that way, which has been cool. Yeah, it's definitely, I would say, maybe Punisher's probably kind of in there too, but it's probably I would say the darkest of the Netflix series. I don't know, Jessica Jones is pretty fucking dark too. Yeah, so they're all pretty dark.
I guess that's kind of the MO for them, except for old Danny Rand, who's just a bit of a thundering dumbass most of the time. But
yeah, what's it say that I am so excited to dive in? I haven't watched any Luke Cage. But Danny Rand comes out, and it's like, I gotta watch them all now. I'm excited to watch Danny Rand.
I don't know. I don't know what does it say. But
I don't know. Because it wasn't very good. But I enjoy Danny Rand.
Yeah. I'm there with you. I don't know how to rationalize it either.
It so much. It's so stupid. We just can't help but love it.
I think for me, at least, it's an interest in the character and a hope that they can redeem the character. Maybe I think that's probably where it comes from. But there is also just like a morbid curiosity aspect to it. I'm like, it can't be worse than the first season, right? You know,
you cinnamon wheat ice cream.
Danny, I got you some cinnamon wheat ice. Oh, it's not for Danny. Kyle, I got you some cinnamon wheat ice cream.
Fucking Kyle.
Actually, I like vanilla ice cream. You son of a bitch.
The fuck's wrong with cinnamon wheats?
But I go through all this effort to bring you a cinnamon wheat ice cream, and you want vanilla. You fuck.
Fuck you! Crunches his head with a goddamn ice cream scoop. Jesus.
I hope we get some surprise Harold in season 2 as a side note.
Harold stole the show, man. That shit was so good.
Daredevil. Let's finish up on Daredevil before we get too off course. I talked about Netflix kind of crushing it, and I kind of alluded to something. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but basically, from what I can gather, we know that Daredevil season 3 is definitely coming later this year. Which will mean it'll be the third Netflix show to debut this year as far as the Marvel Netflix series are concerned, which is pretty awesome. However, there's talk that it might debut as early as October, which, for those of you counting, is next month. So that would be pretty cool. It will definitely have a presence at New York Comic Con during October, and I am somewhat expecting a surprise drop in the immediate vicinity of New York Comic Con. They tried to do that with Punisher, but then the Vegas shootings happened, and they kind of were just like, okay, this is not a good time to basically do this. So they basically pulled the Punisher entirely from New York Comic Con. Right. So I think that, I don't really think that Daredevil opens itself up to those kinds of problems. No. So I think that they could probably be safe to, kind of slot it in for New York Comic Con, make it kind of their centerpiece, and then boom, all episodes are out right now or in a week or whatever, So I think that's what it's going to be. And somewhere I read that the review embargo is going to lift for the first 6 episodes in October as well. So if press is getting access to it that early, I think that it's got to be coming pretty soon. And I'm excited for it because Daredevil is my favorite of these shows. So hoping that season 3 continues the good trends that they've set so far. Yeah. All right. That is the news for this week. We're going to very, very briefly touch on the box office breakdown. I came so close.
Box office breakdown.
Box office breakdown. I came very close to excising this as a segment this week, but I felt bad because we hadn't done it in like a month, and I'm like, there might be some things to talk about. Some little things to talk about, nothing crazy. We're not talking about a movie this week, so there's no real relevant data to kind of share. But I did want to mention Crazy Rich Asians just fucking knocking it out of the park. So it debuted at $26 million, which is pretty, that's solid for what it is. $30 million budget. That's a pretty solid debut. Even crazier than that, even crazier than the Crazy Rich Asians, is that it has had some of the most magnificent drops I've seen this time of year from anything. 6% drop at second weekend. You're looking at your summer blockbusters, like a 40% drop is amazing. 6% is insane. Again, you're starting with a lower number, but that's still crazy. 11% drop.
That's retaining almost all of the audience.
Yeah, basically. Or
crazy.
Or the equivalent of that audience, basically.
Right,
I don't think it's a repeat viewing. I think it's just people poking their head in, and saying, "Okay, what's this thing about?"
Almost the same numbers. The second week's pretty outstanding. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and third week it had an 11% drop for the Friday through Sunday, and then also happened to be Labor Day weekend, so it actually upticked for that full 4-day set. But it's 4 days versus 3, so that's to be expected. Right now, it's looking at $136 million domestically, which again, for a $30 million budget. That's
outstanding. Yeah,
it's pretty good. Sequel's already been announced, as if there was any doubt based on those numbers. So, well deserved. I might touch on it later. And more recently, The Nun just made its debut this past weekend, and it set a franchise record. The Conjuring franchise, it's a spinoff of that. $53.5 million for the weekend. Really, really impressive take. Reviews, not so impressive.
Yeah, look like
the
shit. I'm not
general
surprised.
audience's reaction, also not very impressive. So I imagine this thing will drop like a rock come next weekend. But
they keep making them. None of them review well, do they?
no, it's not true.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know, both Conjurings reviewed pretty well. The second Annabelle reviewed pretty well, and this one and the first Annabelle are really the only two in the franchise that did not review well. So as far as horror franchises go, this one has a pretty solid reputation, but this one obviously just didn't hit the mark, I guess.
Maybe I just need to take a dive in the Conjuring franchise.
Yeah, they're solid. I haven't seen the Annabelles, but I liked both Conjuring 1 and 2. So yeah, I think we're getting close to Halloween season, so
maybe
if you're in the mood for a little bit of horror, I think those are two movies that are worth watching. I don't think they're Hereditary by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that they're pretty good for what they are, I would say. So that's our brief box office breakdown for this episode. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. It is created by Carlton Cuse and Graham Rowland. Stars Jim from The Office Krasinski, Abby Cornish, Wendell Pierce, Ali Suleiman, Dina Shihavi, and John Hoogenacker. That's a good name. An up-and-coming CIA analyst, or an analyst, Jack Ryan is thrust into a dangerous field assignment as he uncovers a pattern in terrorist communications that launch him into the center of a dangerous gambit.
Ooh.
So many words. What does it mean?
Yeah.
What's it all about? What is it all about? What is Jack Ryan all about? I mean, it seems like you liked it. So, I mean,
I did like it.
What made you like it?
I think Jack Ryan did an excellent job of maintaining tension. I think it did a really good job at not necessarily maintaining tension, but it did a good job of creating tension out of all the episodes. I think every episode felt like it ended on a crescendo. You know what I mean? I think I think they did a really good job of that. I think Jim from The Office I think he's fantastic. I think he's really good. He's a really good actor. I also enjoyed, is it Greer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a badass. I enjoyed him as well. And the fella that played the terrorist, I thought he was fantastic. And that brings me to my other point. They did a really good job of creating an excellent villain. I think the whole characterization of the villain and his background and his family and what drives him and everything else was executed to perfection. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was excellent. Very good. Very good. Hats off to everyone involved in that show. I enjoyed it. It's not True Detective, you know, it's not the best show I've ever seen, but it's definitely it's definitely a very enjoyable show for sure. I think it's well made.
Yeah, I would agree. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Well, again, I'll agree that it's not top tier television by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the benefactor of a few elements. I think probably the first element is Jim from The Office putting in good work here. I think he's a really good fit for Jack Ryan, especially I think he's actually. Well, kind of the role that he plays, especially in kind of the first episode or so, it's a very, quite literally, Jim from The Office type role, except it's just Jim from the CIA, basically. He's kind of doing Jim Halpert in the CIA, which I enjoyed, and obviously that's one of the roles that he's probably never going to be able to outlive, even when he puts out 10 Quiet Places. Like, he'll still be known as Jim from The Office, and he's great at that.
But he's definitely capable of a lot more.
He's definitely capable of a lot more, but I actually think that the Jack Ryan character in general works better more from that setting. Like I enjoyed more of the office interactions than I did him kind of being action hero Jack Ryan. And I think that I'm not someone that's super familiar with like the original Tom Clancy novels. Again, I talked about the movies. Hunt for Red October, like I think that's probably my frame of reference for Jack Ryan. I think Alec Baldwin's a better Jack Ryan overall, but I also think that I think that movie is better than this overall too. So maybe that's somewhat unfair. But he's more of a bookworm in that, and he's very smart, very analytical of all these situations, and there are elements of that here. But I kind of felt like they leaned more into him kind of being somewhat of an action hero type character.
I think that they leaned more into his emotional self, more so than his analytical ability.
Action
ability.
Maybe
I think he was much more of he's a much more emotional character, and driven by a lot more emotional. He's a broken dude. And I think that was pretty evident throughout the thing.
I think it's maybe somewhat unfair to kind of. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they did do a good job of humanizing him and giving us
maybe to
looks
the
at his
extent
backstory
to where
and
why
stuff.
is this guy maybe to the detriment of the way they try to frame him. Why is this guy on the leading edge of this investigation? When he's because you don't get to see him do a lot of analytical shit. I mean, maybe a little bit, but
I think maybe I just wanted more of him. Like there's moments where like he's kind of the smartest guy in the room and stuff like that, and I kind of enjoyed that. Especially like a lot of the board meetings where everyone's just kind of doing their thing, and then he just like speaks out of turn. He's just like, well, actually, it's this, and everyone's like,
right,
why the fuck we learn about this now, asshole? I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I like this. I think I wanted more of that and less of him kind of being involved in big, I guess there's a few shootouts. There's, moments of him kind of, going hand to hand with people. I'm like, this is all well and good. I get that there's action, but I think maybe I wanted something a little bit more cerebral than what we ended up getting.
Right.
But I mean, again, maybe that's unfair because that's not really what this show is trying to do.
But then at the same time, there isn't a whole lot. The action sequences are largely not involving him. I think more of the action sequences involve the villain and everything, I mean, there are shootouts and whatnot, but I don't think it doesn't center around it. I don't think, there's one episode I think that's super intense. I don't know if we can, I guess it's kind of spoiler territory. I guess we can't really get into it.
Yeah.
But, I thought it was pretty good, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I basically binged the show, which is only 8 episodes as a side note, which, great. I'm glad it was only 8. I think that was definitely a big positive for it.
Sure. As with many shows.
Agreed. There still somehow managed to be filler in those 8 episodes, which I was kind of like, okay, and that's something I definitely will want to mention in spoilers. But I thought that anything to do with all the Jack Ryan stuff, especially the Greer. Greer was an amazing character. Wendell Pierce absolutely fucking crushed it. I would say he stole the show for me, honestly. Anything basically involving those two kind of going place to place and doing shit, I really, really enjoyed.
Awesome. There's one awesome fucking episode.
Mostly everything else was kind of mediocre for me, I would say. Not all of it. I agree that the villain stuff was pretty well handled for the most part. I think it kind of petered out by the end. Seemed like they tried to lend depth and then they just gave up after a while and was just like, nah, he's just a terrorist. It's fine. That's kind of what I got out of it. Like they were building characterization and then they never quite put the bow on it for me. But that's just kind of my take. And I enjoyed that they decided to give so much focus to that character, though. I think that was a smart decision to try to, because I've seen a lot of stuff online about this being like a super jingoistic kind of show, and hoorah America, and it's like I didn't really get that from this show personally.
I don't
think that it. I don't know that it handled everything super gracefully, but it didn't come across as, wrong-handed to me. Like it didn't feel, I don't know. I didn't really get that. But
I thought it did a really good job of humanizing something that a particular kind of person that doesn't get humanized a whole lot.
Yeah. I honestly, just kind of, I guess we probably move a little bit more towards recommendation. I think the only thing that maybe holds this show back overall is I don't know that it's any better than anything of its ilk. And I think partially, I'll expound on that. Why I enjoyed this show so much, I think, while I watched it, is I hadn't really watched anything like it in a long time. Homeland is another show very similar to this. 24 is a show very similar to this. Like, there's a lot of shows like this that deal with basically the exact same subject matter.
It's true. That's very true.
I think you and I are probably kind of people that don't really tend to watch shows like that. So when you watch something like this, it kind of sucks you in because it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't really seen a whole lot like this, so I'm interested because of that. The thing is, I don't know if this show does anything better than those shows. I watched the first season of Homeland, and I thought it had its ups and downs, but it was overall pretty good, aside from
I watched I think I watched a couple seasons 24.
The garbage ending of Homeland Season 1, which I quit the show at that point and don't regret it. This one, I felt like it did everything very solidly. I don't know that it brought anything particularly noteworthy to the table or new to the table, but that's not a bad thing. Maybe being a repackage of ideas that have come before with, maybe a little bit added focus on the villain, maybe a more unconventional kind of main character. He's not a Jack Bauer or anything like that. So I think that there are things in this that make it obviously made it interesting enough for both of us to say, I could do 8 episodes of this, and enjoy it, and still come away enjoying it. So
8 episodes is key. I think that's think that's critical.
Yeah. So if I sound like I've been negative, I think it's just because I think there's good things to enjoy in this show. I think the cast in particular is just one of the strong suits here. Mm-hmm. But it's not a particularly original show, and my hope is that in the future it moves away from this, and I think it will. We'll touch on that kind of towards the end of our discussion here. But do you have any other non-spoiler thoughts, or you want to shout your recommendation?
Characterization of no, I think I'm pretty good. I'm good.
Okay, so it's been a while since we've talked about a TV show as a regular episode. I actually looked back. I think it's been like 10 episodes or something like that. So I want to remind everyone what our TV rating scale is, because it's different than our film rating scale. There's 5 tiers.
It's quite different.
It's 5 tiers. So we're going to start at the bottom tier. I'm not saying that this is what the show is. I'm just reminding everyone what our tiers are. Bottom tier is shithouse. The one above that is fine. The middle tier is totally fine. And then we get to the top 2 tiers. The second highest is yes. And the highest honor that we can give at Watch Review Repeat to a television show is very yes. Yeah. So where would you land on that?
I would say
scale?
It's a totally fine 0.5. Like I was going to say maybe yes, but maybe yes is a little too generous. So I'm going to say it's totally fine and a half.
Okay. Well,
borderline,
I actually,
yes.
I actually am somewhere in that range myself, but I enjoyed it, and it's 8 episodes, so I actually went with yes on this one.
Very nice. Okay, yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, totally. I enjoyed this one. I think people tend to enjoy a show like this, and I think that it's a show that's made to be enjoyed by a wide audience. Mm-hmm. And
attention's good, man.
It's well made.
It's a well-made show. It's good.
It's a well-made show. It's got good set pieces, got good cast, and it got a pretty overall solid story to it, and good characters. So I think that I don't know that the characters get, aside from Jack Ryan, I think Jack Ryan gets a good amount to work with. I don't know that there's a ton of depth to some of the other characters, and some of how the characters kind of work into the plot is kind of okay, maybe a little convenient, or obviously scripted in a way that it. I don't know. I can talk about that in a second, I guess, when we get into spoilers. But I still landed on yes with this one. It's again nothing groundbreaking, but I think it's quite enjoyable, and
It's well made.
I spent most of my Labor Day weekend, pushing through this show. Maybe that's a bad way to put it. Watching this show, I didn't push through it. I enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to queue up another episode and see what happens next. It's like I said, the way it ends, it definitely it's kind of a show that makes you want to see what comes next too, I would say.
I watched 2 episodes and then I grinded out all of them. With the exception of the last episode, I went until midnight and I fell asleep on the last episode, so I rewatched that one today. But yeah, man, it's good shit. It's good shit. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I recommend you watch it.
So, yeah, it's recommendations from both of us. So, you have it, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Let's get into spoilers. So, full spoilers for Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. So I have the thought in my mind, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. I was kind of talking about how like the characters are kind of convenient. It's mostly in reference to his girlfriend character. It's like the way that she was the epidemiologist, and then that kind of tied into the storyline at the end. I was just like I can see the... I don't know. It felt. I don't know. It's contrived. It felt a little contrived.
It's awfully
in the sense,
convenient.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe convenient's a better word. I'm just like, okay, so she. All right.
What
all
are
right.
the chances?
Yeah, it was a little bit of that, and there was a lot of that in this show of just like, okay, I mean, stuff like the. I don't know. Just some of it I found kind of silly in terms of like the reveals, and it's just like, what's the password to his phone? Oh, it's his cell number, and I'm like. Well, that's a little convenient, isn't it? There was a lot of convenient moments in this where I think it's intended to make Jack Ryan look like the smartest guy in the room, but it just kind of felt like lazy writing and not anything particularly challenging or insightful. Just more of a, I don't know. Yeah, like a lot of it it didn't bother me. I guess it didn't. I wasn't like, oh, that's a plot hole. Like it's not a plot hole.
It's just kind of stupid.
But it's just kind of like, okay, all right, I'll just suspend my disbelief a little bit. Because, the show's, it's not exactly, I don't think, it's I don't know how to say it, but it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison to real life. It's a bit of a heightened reality in some ways, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. Sure.
So, I didn't mind it so much.
One thing that was kind of crazy was, it was kind of like a holy shit moment. That dude was going to rape the main terrorist's wife out there, and she was praying to God, and she was running away, and that motherfucker got shot with a bomb from the drone.
Yeah, so that is actually I'm glad you mentioned that, because that actually brings up 2 things that I have major issues with.
Okay.
Probably my 2 biggest issues with the show. First one is somehow that guy survives that.
Right.
It's like, what?
At first, I had to take a double take. I was like, is that the same guy?
I think he has like a scratch on his face from it. I'm like, that dude just got
looked like his arm was
bombed.
like fucking mangled out and broken and shit when he was laying there. I don't know. I'm with you.
I was just kind of like, what's a little convenient? Because, we need to, we didn't talk about the wife character. Obviously she's trying to get away from him, and then the husband sends him after her. And I was like, that's all well and good, but this guy's got like an entire following. Like that if that guy dies, he can just send someone else after her. Like I didn't see the need to have that connective tissue other than to say, to remind the audience and beat him over the head like, this is the bad guy, he's still after her. I'm like, well, okay.
He got shot by a fucking drone.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, and that's maybe what I'm talking about when it's a little bit of a heightened reality. I'm like, okay, all right, this is a TV show. It's not intended to be a documentary. Let's put it that way.
And then, what was your second point?
My second point was where that drone strike came from. What the fuck was that whole subplot?
Oh, with the guy who goes out to the casino and gets beat by the swingers, and. That was strange. I don't know if you thought that was strange. I thought that was kind of weird.
That whole thing was a complete waste of time. Like, it was literally only, I think, in there to establish why that guy would get the drone strike called on him at that exact moment, which then turned out to not do anything anyway. And I'm just like...
And then he goes over there.
Yeah,
and gives them all the money.
okay, but then
Okay.
I was just like, okay.
And that was the end of that.
And that was it. I was just like I read someone online is like, I thought it was gonna be some 24 shit where he was gonna get like tied up in like the terrorist scheme or something like that. And I was like,
yeah, that would have been cool. I
Like,
thought
yeah,
that's what was going to happen.
I expected some sort of closure
Like
or
maybe
meaning to that whole
he
story.
turned into a terrorist or something. Who knows? But
Yeah,
nothing
like it
ever
almost
happened
seemed
with
like
it.
he was just getting so fucked up. Like you could definitely see him kind of getting radicalized by it. But then it was just kind of I feel bad, dude. I killed your son.
Here's my
Even
money.
though he
I'll
wasn't
buy your
really
eggs.
threatening. Like, I was just kind of like, I guess maybe they're trying to look at the morality of the situation. But I think we can definitively say that dropping drone strikes on innocent people not really a good look.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It was definitely stupid. But I tell you what wasn't stupid. What wasn't stupid was the episode where Jack Ryan and Greer they go and they have to find the human smuggling people. And that was a good episode. And what was the other good episode? The last episode was good. I thought that was, or was it the last episode where he tells his girlfriend about the helicopter and the kid that pulled the grenade?
Yeah, it's either the second to last or the last episode. It's
That was
towards
a good
the end,
episode as well. Yeah. There's several. I mean, there's a couple gems in there. The one where the girl gets shot, the lady cop gets shot.
Yeah.
That was a good episode. Shit was tense. But yeah, man. Yeah.
I think there's pretty much. I think there's good stuff in all the episodes. I don't think there was a bad episode in the bunch. I think there was just things within the episode. It was just kind of
okay. It's kind of
all right.
stupid.
Yeah.
And then the guy gets hit by his wife and falls in the shit. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's I enjoyed all the episodes, and then at the end of every episode or whenever they were in those tense moments, you couldn't look away, and that's where it really shined. Is in those moments. I think there's decent show. I like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to kind of mention.
Nope.
I could probably go back and look and see if there's some things that that stuck out to me when I watched it, but I haven't had a few days away from it. It's not a show I think that has left a mark with me where I'm like, holy fuck. But in the moment I was just like, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. It was very enjoyable. And on that note, season 2's already been announced. It's been renewed for a second season, and
Good.
I'm in for a second season. The log line for this, and this is what gets me excited. The log line for season 2 is that Jack Ryan confronts the forces in power in a dangerous, declining democratic regime in South America, which to me, that sounds much more interesting than kind of standard Middle Eastern terrorism, which, again, there's a million shows that have been made in America that kind of deal with that subject. So I think that going away from that, I think that's a good move, personally.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
I think that's more interesting. I think that it makes...
Didn't the note at
just,
the end say that he was going to Russia?
Yeah, actually, you're right. So apparently he's not going to spend a whole lot of time over there. Or
maybe Russia's involved. And
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah, I actually forgot about that. But it was kind of cool. He got promoted at the end. That was kind of a nice moment for him.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Greer, though. He was definitely an awesome character.
Yeah. No, I was kind of... It seemed like they were almost kind of writing in a way where he wasn't going to be a character, wasn't going to be involved in Langley anymore. I was just kind of like, oh, that's kind of shitty. Hopefully he's not like a one and done kind of cast member, because he's the best character in the show.
I think
So,
Greer is a from what I read about that fun fact.
I think he's a Jack Ryan fixture. So I didn't realize that as well. And there's another guy, the guy that executes the last guy that got away at the end.
Is that a fixture as well?
Well, so not definitively, but there's a character in the franchise. I don't remember exactly what his name is, but I think he's kind of like John Clark is the guy's name. I think he's kind of like the anti-Ryan or something like that. Or he's been described as Ryan's dark side. I'm looking at it now, and you could kind of see that where that guy obviously was kind of pretty nonchalant about pretty much everything he was doing. So
just whatever. Fuck it.
What did they say his name was? Do you remember?
John Clark.
Well, no, they say he's not actually named as John Clark in the show, but there's like I think it was like one of the early episodes. He talks to Ryan. And he's just like, yeah, my name's Bert or whatever. Like he just makes up some stupid name.
I think it was probably the episode where he asked Ryan what he does. What do you do? And he's like, I'm an analyst. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it says something. Yeah, I don't know. I just know he shoots that guy at the end. He's sitting there drinking his tea or whatever and shoots that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore.
Pretty hardcore. Yeah. You know, John Clark.
Maybe. Who's to say? But probably.
What you been up to, dude?
I've been up to a lot. I think we probably both been up to a good amount, but I have some things to say. Again, it's been a month since we recorded, and I guess I should probably start by explaining probably why we went on that hiatus, because there's been some major life changes.
Let's hear them.
So, first of all, is that I finally found a home up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I was brought here for a very specific purpose, and that is to attend law school, which I've now begun. I'm 2 weeks into my law school career.
How is it?
It's good. I'm enjoying it so far. It's tough because I'm coming from a position where I had a lot of free time, and now I'm moving to a position where that time is getting reallocated to reading cases and learning about the law, which is cool because it's what I want to do.
Is the law cool, man?
It's interesting, yeah. I know that it's going to be a hell of a journey in terms of just the amount of material that's kind of getting thrown at me that I'm getting exposed to that I need to consume. Mm-hmm. But it's cool. You know, I've even when I was an undergrad, I spent a lot of time like working part-time. And so this is definitely like the most that I will be devoting like my life to academia. Like it's basically a full-time job. And that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's I'm learning for a living, basically. So, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really enjoying Philadelphia. I think you and I took a trip up here.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
A few months back. I know you had a good time. I had a good time, and
Philly cheesesteaks?
Exciting to live here. I've had a couple since I've been up here.
You son of a bitch.
I haven't. Well, if it makes you feel better, none of the cheesesteaks I've had have been as good as the ones we had at Jim's. So shout out to Jim's. If anyone's in Philadelphia and looking for a cheesesteak, they make some bomb cheesesteaks.
Can you ship me a cheesesteak?
I don't know that it would hold up very well, but it's probably technically possible. But long story short, I'm no longer homeless, and I have a purpose in life that I'm moving towards. So there's that. That is we'll get to it in a little bit, but that's obviously going to mean some changes for this podcast moving forward because, again, don't have that time that I used to have. So it's good and bad. I've watched a good amount of things. Watched Crazy Rich Asians, which we talked about in our box office breakdown, and I quite enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty good. Trailer didn't do anything for me. In fact, I thought it looked really bad from the trailer. But I really enjoyed the movie. It felt like more than your standard rom-com, and obviously a movie that has basically a 99% principally Asian cast is kind of unheard of, which is a bad thing. So it's a good thing that a movie like this can get made and do well. So I'm really happy about that. But I did enjoy it, and I think it's worth checking out. For anyone that hasn't had a chance to see it. Rom-com I wouldn't say is my typical genre of choice, but I did enjoy it. So I would recommend that. I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in IMAX. They did a remastering of it for like a week-long IMAX engagement. It's over now, unfortunately. But I think Christopher Nolan kind of, I don't know if he was like spearheading it or if he was overseeing or what it was, but they did this week-long IMAX engagement for 2001, and I hadn't seen 2001 in a while, and I'd definitely never seen it, in an IMAX format, but that was like a fucking revelatory experience, I will say.
Oh yeah, dude.
It was amazing. Like, I was blown away, like, in the way that I was saying that, Jack Ryan, as much as I enjoyed it, didn't really leave a mark on me. 2001 left a fucking mark on me. Like, holy shit. I mean, I had the Blu-ray, and stuff already, but I was just like, my God, like,
I never watched 2001 in IMAX, but I watched it stoned the first time I watched it.
It's probably about the same experience, just for different reasons, I guess.
It's truly a magnificent film. I mean,
and watching it, I'm like, how the fuck was this made when it was made?
Right.
Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, usually you can kind of see
right?
I think 68 maybe.
Yeah, I think so, 68, 69.
And it looks better than a lot of movies that come out these days. And like, we know Stanley Kubrick's a genius, there's no disputing that, but like, holy shit, like, this is...
I'm sorry, Dave.
Seeing it blown up on a screen like that, you think, okay, it's probably, maybe it's not intended to be seen in this type of format, but you didn't see the seams anywhere. Like, it just still looked amazing. I mean, I guess maybe the costumes they wear for the scene at the beginning, or the whole prologue sequence.
The soundtrack was so fucking good.
The soundtrack is absurd. It was amazing. Like, holy shit. And then the whole God, I don't even know how to describe it. Like the colors on the screen kind of towards the end, like 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Oh, where like he's traveling through like space and time and shit.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, what the fuck is happening? I was captivated by the whole thing. I was just really, really blown away. So
good for you. Glad you got to watch that on IMAX. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. I also saw the first Avengers in IMAX maybe a week later. The AMC, I think, partnered with Marvel, and they were doing like the entire MCU, like 4 movies a day kind of thing, all in IMAX. So I wanted to see more, but I don't have my car with me right now, so it's limiting. So I have to rely on our good friend Henry to get around to places that are a little further away. Right. So the only one that we ended up kind of being able to see was the first Avengers, and hadn't seen an IMAX since 2012 when it came out. So it's kind of like, that was definitely another throwback, but wasn't as revelatory as experience as 2001, especially given that we had all rewatched the Avengers pretty recently, prior to Infinity War coming out. So still good fun, still good time. And today I actually watched Searching with John Cho. So I don't know if you saw the trailer for this. I think you might have. It's kind of got the Unfriended type thing where the whole movie is told through like Google searches and like videos played from a computer and FaceTime and stuff like that.
I thought it looked like shit.
It's about this guy whose daughter goes missing and he has to find her. It's really great. Like, spectacular use of the format. Certainly better than I would think the Unfriended franchise handled it. But the way that it was written was really, really smartly written. And it's so fascinating because, a lot of movies have a lot of clues and stuff to kind of keep you, informed on what it is. But this one is, it's almost like an Easter egg hunt where there's kind of this, like they go on a news article or something, news page, and there's like, little headlines off to the side. And then some of those headlines are actually relevant to the story later on. So there's a lot of stuff, there's a picture of something, and then there's a person in this picture that you don't know who it is, and then 30 minutes later they come up, and you're like, oh shit, it's the guy from that picture. Kind of stuff like that, where I'm like, this is a pretty
kind of cool,
pretty rewatchable movie, I would think, So it was great. I mean, it reviewed really well, and that's kind of why I wanted to see it. And I like John Cho. Definitely doesn't get enough work, I would say. But he was great in this, and I was really, really impressed with it. So that's what I've been watching. I've been playing Spider-Man. I haven't played a ton of it, but I've been playing Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, which I think
really cool.
You also picked up. Yeah. I have only really beat the prologue. It's kind of been a busy weekend for me until now, basically. But what I have played, I thought was fantastic. I was very bad at the game. So I don't know if I'm just rusty at that kind of Arkham style combat or what, but it's
I
beautiful.
got my ass kicked a couple times too.
Yeah, okay, all right, makes me feel
a couple
better.
jackasses with pipes beat the shit out of Spider-Man. It's like, this doesn't make any sense.
I was kind of like, this is like, really? I was like,
come on, man.
I was like, all right, technically Spider-Man's not bulletproof, so if he gets shot a few times, I kind of get that. But I'm just like, people are like punching Spider-Man. Like, it's fucking Spider-Man. Like, this dude should be able to flick these guys and be fine. So I was kind of like, it's a little silly, but it's a video game. So what are you going to do? Get better, I guess, is the answer. But
get better.
The cinematics seem really great. The swinging mechanics seem really solid. It doesn't have the bullshit swinging from clouds stuff that they've put in a lot of games. You got attached to
really
proper
cool.
buildings and stuff. And the physics seem really cool, and it seems it's still cinematic even while you're controlling it, but it feels like you're in control. Like I spent
the past 2 hours before this podcast swinging. That's all I did. Swing.
And it definitely feels like a game that could eat hours of your life away just fucking swinging around, taking it all in. So
it's cool.
I'm excited to play a little bit more. Unfortunately, as we've well established, my time is a little bit more limited. So I don't know how long it'll take for me to kind of, I guess, really be able to take a proper deep dive in it. But even if I'm just going, piece by piece, I think it's going to be an enjoyable experience. So
I've played a little. I think I probably played a little bit more than you. Not a whole lot more, but I can tell you experiment with traversing the city because it's he does a lot of really cool shit.
Okay.
Like you can, the buildings where the fire escape's built onto the side of the building.
Yeah.
There's a cool traversal technique to go up the fire escape, which is really awesome. And then when you're wall running and the way you can go through shit, it's like, oh, it's fucking Spider-Man, so cool. Yeah, that's all I got. Spider-Man's really cool game, man.
So I know you've been playing that. You've been playing anything else? Watching anything else?
I don't think I've watched a whole lot, to be honest with you.
Well, what on earth have you been doing for the past month?
Well, I tell you what I've been doing. I bought a record player. I've been listening to a lot of music.
I didn't ask if what you've been listening to, so I guess I didn't ask the right question.
Yeah, so I bought a record player, and I got some vinyl records, man, and it's pretty cool. I think they seem very expensive.
Well, it's probably $25-$30 a pop, would you say?
Yeah, unless like today I went to a secondhand store and I bought a fucking Rush album, dude. Slapping the bass.
Slap the bass. You slap the bass big time slap the bass.
That's what I was doing. But yeah, I bought a Rush album. It was I think some of them were more expensive. I bought a badass Star Wars collection of vinyl, dude. It's like this, it's the first 6 movies. And I have a giant collection of that, which is cool. Also have another, I got the Force Awakens one with, it's got their faces printed on the vinyl, and, which is pretty cool. Apparently, if I were to buy the regular Force Awakens vinyl, there's holograms etched into the vinyl, to where if you shine a light on it from on the top, you'll have like a floating TIE fighter or a floating Millennium Falcon and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Is there a floating Princess Leia that says "Help me, Obi-Wan"? You're my only
No, that would have been really cool though. It sounds cool. I like it. I think that's pretty much what I've been doing. I bought Spider-Man. I bought Dead Cells on Switch, so I played that on the Switch here recently, which is pretty cool game. And as far as movies go, I can't think of any movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, there really hasn't been a ton in theaters either that have.
No, I haven't been to the movie theater in quite some time. I haven't been in a long time actually. But I can tell you that I am excited to watch The Predator, and I'm also excited to watch Luke Cage and Danny Rand. So those two things I'm very excited to dive into.
So that's what's up next for you then.
Yeah, that's what's up next for me, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same page. I started back up on Luke Cage. I'm 4 episodes in now.
How was it?
I like it so far. So
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a chore to get through. Just I want to finish it because I've watched all the Marvel Netflix series. It's 13 for Luke Cage. Iron Fist is 10. So 23 altogether to get through. But no, it's I don't have a burning desire to binge it. Not that I would be able to even if I wanted to. But I think that watching it is kind of like an episode a day kind of pace seems good for me.
All right.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Good character work. So, and the music is great in that too. So, so you've been on a music kick lately. Luke Cage brings the music. So,
oh, dude, Tool! I got a Tool vinyl. Holy shit! That I haven't listened to Tool in so long, and they are awesome, man. They are totally awesome.
Well, it'd be helpful if they released an album at any point. I mean, it's only been since 2005, but I'm not counting. Who's counting? No one's counting, right?
It'd help if they fucking release their shit on streaming services. They don't want to do that either. Those fucks. Yeah. But
yeah,
I got Lateralis on vinyl, and that sounds pretty cool. I can't buy Anima though. You know how much it costs to buy Anima? Look that shit up on eBay.
Probably an absurd amount if you're not willing to pull the trigger on it, I would guess.
Yeah. So. They range from $1,300 to $2,700.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because I thought that was one of my they need a reprint.
I was like, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. Let me look up. I'll look up a print from '96 or whatever. It can't be that much money. Yeah, bullshit. That's blew my mind. Fucking Tool album. I can't believe that. Pissed me off.
I know I don't have that sort of income. I don't think you do either. So
I'm not on a fucking Tool album.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
I don't know what kind of album I would buy for $13 to $26.
I was thinking outside of the sphere of albums, but I was just like, I don't know, maybe furniture or some shit. I don't know.
Maybe a fucking badass Star Wars picture. Maybe like a Carbonite Han Solo. Maybe.
That's a good, or an Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's good use of money, I would say. Life-sized Stormtrooper.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. A suit I could actually wear, like a Stormtrooper out.
Stormtrooper, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Anything's probably cooler than a fucking vinyl for $2,700. Vinyl album. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it. Anyways, I digress.
Yep. You got anything else on your list, or ready to wrap it up?
Wrap it up.
All right. So, to those of you who have listened to this episode, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Watch Review Repeat. And now we'll get to that important announcement that I mentioned at the top of the episode. So things are going to change around here a little bit. We're still going to be making episodes, but we're going to be making episodes less frequently. So I think we're going to try to move to a bi-weekly format. So new episode every other week puts us at about 2 episodes a month, which I think seems sustainable with my schedule. And to make that just a little bit more sustainable in terms of editing and kind of the other time commitments that come along with, making this podcast outside of just recording it, we're going to switch up the format a little bit moving forward too. So I think we're going to try to streamline our news section a lot because I think the trend that I've noticed and kind of working through these 50 plus episodes that we recorded is that we often get bogged down in news. And we often get bogged down in news that neither of us really has a whole lot to say about. So, this week I tried to curate it a little bit, and I think we kind of kept it reasonably under control, but I think we might even push more into just having the content, the main selection for the episode as the centerpiece, kind of closer maybe to what the bonus episodes are like, where it's a little bit of, stuff up the top, and then, you kind of just get right into things. So hopefully that means shorter episodes, and hopefully it means kind of more of a maybe pointed discussion towards things that we want to talk about. And I think that will hopefully make for better flow overall. And that's kind of what we're looking at. So you'll kind of get a chance to see exactly how that will look, when we do get a chance to record our next episode, which will be The Predator.
Yeah.
So that's coming out, and it's coming out, and I unplugged my headphones. I was hoping there wouldn't be an awkward gap, but there was, so it's fine. But it's coming out in, I guess, less than a week now. I'm excited to see that Shane Black film. See what he's got in store for us. We'll be able to kind of, again, build on that discussion we just had about the trailer. And as a side note,
bonus episode?
Okay, so our next bonus episode is actually going to talk about bonus episodes. Our next bonus episode is going to be the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm excited about that.
And we don't have an exact date pinned down on when we'll get a chance to record that. I think we all need to watch the movies still, but
Yes.
I am excited to revisit that trilogy. Been meaning to do it for a while. It's the 10th year anniversary for The Dark Knight.
I'm so excited.
So it feels timely. And as a
DC's
side,
last good movies.
Wonder Woman was good, but not Dark Knight good. As a side note, we're still going to be doing monthly bonus episodes. So that's not going to be impacted. The Patreon side of things is not going to be impacted by our changes moving forward. So if you guys enjoyed what you heard, spread the word. Of course, obviously, it's going to sound a little bit different come next episode, but it's going to be us. It's going to be Andrew and I just talking things out. So it's not really changing that much.
No.
So you can still spread the word, So, again, support us on Patreon. If you would like, you can get access to, again, that Predator bonus episode, which is out now, and to that Dark Knight trilogy that'll be coming out hopefully soon. And our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. If you want to have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything like that, send it to our Gmail account, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. So that's episode 55. Andrew, do you have any parting words?
Ladies on the Minjay, everyone.
You heard it here first.